From the Gospel of Matthew in the book that we love. The kingdom of heaven will be like a landowner who's going on a trip. He instructed his servants about caring for his property before he went away. He gave 5 talents to one servant, 2 to the next, and then 1 talent to the last servant, each according to their ability. And then the man left. Promptly, the servant who had been given 5 talents, he went out and bartered and sold and turned the 5 talents into 10. And the one who had received 2 talents went into the market and turned the 2 into 4. The servant who had received just 1 talent, he dug a hole in the ground and buried his master's money there. Eventually, the master came back from his trip. He found his servants, and he settled up with them. The servant who had been given 5 talents came forward.
Master, you entrust me with 5 talents. I have turned 5 into 10. Now it's all for you.
Excellent. You have proved yourself not only clever but loyal. You have executed rather small task masterfully. So now I'm going to put you in charge of something larger. But before you go back to work, come, join my great feast and celebration.
And then the servant who had been given 2 talents came forward.
Master, you gave me 2. I have doubled to 4 for you.
Excellent. You have proved yourself not only clever but loyal. You have executed rather small task masterfully. So now I'm going to put you in larger task. But before you go back to work, come join my great feast and celebration.
Finally, the man who had been given 1 talent came forward.
Master, I know you're a hard man, difficult in every way. You can make a healthy son when others would fail. You profit when other people are doing the work. And you grow rich on the back of others. So I was afraid, dug a hole, and hid the talent in the ground. Here it is. You can have it.
The master was furious.
You're a pathetic excuse for a servant. You have disproved my trust in you and squandered my generosity. You know, I always make a profit. You could have at least put this talent in the bank. Then I could have earned a little interest on it. Take that 1 talent from him and give it to the servant who doubled my money from 5 to 10.
You see, everything was taken away from the man who had nothing, but the one who had something got even more. And so for the servant who made no profit but buried his talent in the ground, his master ordered his slaves to tie him up and to throw him outside into the utter darkness where there is miserable mourning and great fear. The word of the Lord.
What was the exact translation of miserable excuse for a servant? I am one of those. A miserable excuse for a servant. Oh my gosh. Well, we have a lot, we've covered a lot of ground this week in classes and here and as a community. And to sort of summarize this morning, before I cut from this difficult story to a joke, which I don't tell many jokes, but I'm going to tell one this morning. And I visit a lot of churches, and it occurs to me that most pastors are either frustrated seminary professors stuck in a pastorate or frustrated stand-up comics stuck in a pastorate or some combination of the two. And I try whenever I'm up in front of people in ministry of the word not to try to tell jokes, but I think one is appropriate this morning. But I want to dispense with something that may be in our minds about this miserable excuse for a servant, because that's a tough note to end a gospel reading on. I want us to remind ourselves, number one, that this is not a narrative of something about an actual person. It's a parable. It's a story Jesus told to make a point. And we really don't know what the ultimate outcome is. Is his chastisement and grief for a short season? It may not be eternity in hell. And the emphasis is on that banquet, the joy of the master that those first two servants were entered into, and perhaps the chastisement and the banishment for at least a season were part of that one talent guy, that miserable excuse for a servant, actually getting restored to the joy of the Lord too. We don't know. Let's let that be in the Lord's hands. He can handle all of that.